Ambassador Hyunwoo stood in the center of the massive chamber, feeling very small. The Grand Council chamber was huge beyond anything humans had ever built. It floated in space above a planet called Nexus Prime, and its walls were made of some kind of crystal that showed the stars outside. 12 enormous seats surrounded him in a circle, each one holding an alien being that looked like something from humanity's worst nightmares. The largest seat belonged to Velthar, the council speaker. The creature was made of living crystal that changed colors when it spoke. Its voice sounded like breaking glass mixed with thunder. "So," it said, the words echoing in the chamber, "the baby species has come to play with the grown-ups." Hyunwoo kept his face calm, even though his heart was beating fast. He had practiced this moment for months. Behind him, Captain Minho stood at attention in his blue uniform, hand resting on his weapon. Minho's job was to protect the ambassador, but they both knew that if things went wrong here, no weapon would help them. "Honored Council," Hyunwoo began, his voice steady, "I come before you representing the human species. We have traveled among the stars for 50 years now. We have built colonies on 12 worlds. We have made peaceful contact with 17 different species. We ask to join the Galactic Federation as equals." The sound that came from the council was horrible. It took Hyunwoo a moment to realize they were laughing. Not the kind of laughter that meant joy, but the cruel kind that meant they thought he was stupid. A creature that looked like a giant spider made of metal spoke next. Its voice was like nails on metal.
50 years?
"We have been traveling the stars for 50,000 years, little monkey. Your species was living in caves when we built our first starships." Another alien, this one covered in scales and breathing poison gas, joined in. 12 worlds. The Nexari Empire controls 12,000 systems. You are like children playing with toys." Hyunwoo opened his briefcase and pulled out a small device. He pressed a button, and holographic images filled the air around him. The images showed human achievements. Massive space stations, green worlds that had once been dead rocks. Ships that could cross the galaxy in days instead of years. "We may be young," Hyunwoo said, "but we learn fast. We have turned dead worlds into gardens. We have built ships that travel faster than most of your fleets. We have created art, music, and literature that speaks to the soul." Velthar's crystal body flashed bright red. "Art, music? You think pretty pictures will impress us? We have seen 1,000,000 species rise and fall. You humans are all the same. You think you are special because you can make fire and fly through space." A blob-like creature that seemed to be made of living liquid spoke up. "We have been watching your species for some time. You fight wars over scraps of land. You poison your own planet. You cannot even agree on how to govern yourselves. What makes you think you deserve to sit with us?" In the observation deck high above, Admiral Sojin watched through a window. She commanded the human fleet that had brought the ambassador here. 3 ships against the thousands that protected this place. Her hands gripped the rail so tight her knuckles were white. Through her earpiece, she could hear every word being said below. "Admiral," said Commander Jiwoo, her second in command, "the aliens are broadcasting this across the galaxy. They want everyone to see us being humiliated." Sojin nodded but said nothing. This was all part of the plan, even if it hurt to watch. Back in the chamber, Hyunwoo tried again. "We offer our knowledge freely. Our doctors have found cures for diseases that have plagued other species for centuries. Our engineers have designed new types of faster-than-light drives. Our farmers can grow food in places where nothing should live." The spider creature clicked its metal legs together. "And what do you want in return, little humans? What tribute will you pay for the honor of serving us?" "We do not wish to serve," Hyunwoo said firmly. "We wish to join as equals, to share in the decisions that affect all species in the galaxy." The laughter came again, louder this time. It went on for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. When it finally stopped, Velthar spoke again. "Equals? You think you are equal to us? We who have shaped the galaxy for millions of years. We who have tamed black holes and moved stars?" The crystal being's voice grew louder. "You are insects, barely crawling out of your dirt. You should be grateful we allow you to exist at all." A new voice spoke from the shadows. It belonged to something Hyunwoo could not see clearly, something that seemed to eat light itself. "Perhaps we should put them out of their misery now. Save the galaxy from another primitive species that will only cause trouble." "No," said Velthar. "They amuse me. We will give them what they deserve." The council speaker stood up, towering over the human ambassador. "Humans of Earth, the Galactic Federation has made its decision. Your application for membership is denied. You are too young, too weak, too stupid to join civilized society. The words hit Hyunwoo like physical blows, but he kept standing straight. However, Velthar continued, we are not without mercy. We grant you observer status. You may watch our proceedings. You may serve our member species when called upon. You may learn from your betters. Perhaps in 1,000 years you will have grown enough to ask again. Captain Minho stepped forward, his face red with anger. You arrogant Minho, Hyunwoo said quietly. The captain stopped, but his hand stayed on his weapon. Hyunwoo bowed his head slightly. We thank the council for its wisdom. We accept your decision. Good, Velthar said. Now leave. We have important matters to discuss, and your presence dirties our chamber. The two humans turned and walked toward the exit. Behind them, the aliens continued to laugh and make jokes about the primitive monkeys who thought they were people. As they reached their ship, Minho finally exploded. How can you be so calm? They treated us like dirt, like we were nothing. Hyunwoo looked out at the stars through the ship's window. Because, my friend, they have no idea what they just did. They think they won today, but they made a terrible mistake. What mistake? Minho asked. They showed us exactly who they really are, and now we know what we have to do. Admiral Sojin's voice came over the communication system. Ambassador, we are ready to depart. Take us home, Admiral, Hyunwoo said. We have work to do. As the human ships jumped to hyperspace, none of the aliens bothered to watch them go. They were too busy celebrating their cleverness in putting the young species in its place. They would remember this day very differently soon enough. 3 months had passed since the humiliation at the council chamber. The news had spread across every human colony, and people were angry. Very angry. Director Yoonji walked into the meeting room on Luna Base, the biggest space station orbiting Earth's moon. The room was packed with representatives from every human world. The air was thick with tension and barely controlled rage. They think we're nothing, shouted Governor Park from the Mars colony. They called us monkeys. Insects. The news broadcasts are still running, added Senator Lee from Europa Station. Every day aliens across the galaxy watch us being laughed at. Our children see it. Our enemies see it. Unji raised her hand for silence. I know you're all angry. We all are. But we need to stay calm and think clearly. Calm? General Taehyun stood up from his chair. His uniform was covered with medals from the colonial wars. Director, with respect, calm is what got us into this mess. We went to them hat in hand, begging like dogs. And what would you have us do, General? Unji asked. Declare war on 12 species that have been fighting for thousands of years? Maybe that's exactly what we should do, said Admiral Youngsik. He commanded the Outer Rim fleets, the ships that protected humanity's newest colonies. We're not as weak as they think. Our technology is different from theirs, maybe different enough to surprise them. Before anyone could answer, the door opened. Captain Minho entered, followed by a woman in a white lab coat that most people had never seen before. Sorry I'm late, Minho said, but I brought someone you all need to meet. He gestured to the woman beside him. This is Chief Engineer Haewon. She's been working on something very interesting. Haewon looked nervous. She was a small woman with tired eyes, but there was something in her expression that made everyone pay attention. For the last 15 years, she began, I've been working on a classified project in the Kuiper Belt. We call it Project Gaia. She pulled out a tablet and pressed some buttons. A holographic display appeared above the table. This is Kepler 442b, she said. The hologram showed a planet that looked brown and dead. It's about 400 light-years from Earth. We've been telling everyone it's a terraforming experiment, that we're trying to turn it into a garden world. Aren't you? Asked Director Yoonji. Haewon smiled, but it was not a happy smile. No, we're turning it into something else entirely. The hologram changed. Now it showed the same planet but different. The surface was covered with massive structures that looked like weapons. Huge energy collectors pointed toward space. The whole planet seemed to pulse with power. We're building a planet breaker, Haewon said simply. The room fell silent. Then everyone started talking at once. That's impossible, said Governor Park. Is it? General Taehyun leaned forward. Haewon, are you telling us that you've turned an entire planet into a weapon? Not just a weapon, said a new voice from the doorway. A tall man in a lab coat entered. Dr. Ji-hoon, Haewon said. Tell them. Dr. Ji-hoon walked to the holographic display. The planet breaker is more than a weapon. It's a mobile world. It can travel faster than light. It can reshape reality around it. And it can destroy entire star systems if necessary. How? Admiral Youngsik asked. We weaponized our terraforming technology, Ji-hoon explained. Think about it. We can change the atmosphere of a world. We can move mountains. We can redirect rivers and create new oceans. What if we took that same technology and pointed it at enemy planets instead of empty ones? The hologram changed again. Now it showed a simulation of the planet breaker in action. Energy beams reached out from the planet toward a distant star system. In seconds, planets were torn apart like paper. The aliens think we're primitive because we're young, Haiwan said. But they're wrong about something important. We don't conquer planets by landing armies on them. We change the planets themselves. We make them what we need them to be. And you've been doing this for 15 years? Director Unji asked. We started right after first contact, Dr. Ji-hoon nodded. When we met our first alien species, we realized we might not always be friends with everyone out here. So we began preparing. But wait, said Senator Lee. If you've been working on this so long, why didn't you tell the council about it? It might have changed their decision. Captain Minho spoke up. Because we wanted them to reject us. Everyone stared at him. Think about it, Minho continued. If they had accepted us into their federation, we would have had to follow their rules. We would have been the junior members, always doing what they told us to do. But this way we're free to do whatever we think is right, finished General Tae-hyun. The old soldier was starting to smile. Admiral Youngsik pulled up his own display. I've been getting intelligence reports that you all need to see. The council isn't done with us. 3 different species have sent scout ships into human space. The Nexari Empire has built what they call monitoring stations near our trade routes. Monitoring stations? Asked Director Yoonji. Military bases, Youngsik said bluntly. They're preparing to invade us. They want our worlds, but they don't want to fight for them. They think we'll just surrender when they show up with enough ships. Dr. Ji-hoon laughed, but it was not a nice sound. They're in for a surprise. How long before the planet breaker is ready? Asked General Tae-hyun. It's ready now, Haewon said. Has been for 2 months. We've been waiting for permission to activate it. All eyes turned to Director Unji. She was quiet for a long moment thinking. Finally, she spoke. The aliens think we're children playing with toys. They think we'll run away when they come for us. They think we'll beg for mercy. She stood up. I think it's time we showed them what human children can do when someone tries to hurt their family. Is that authorization? Asked Dr. Ji-hoon. That's authorization, Yoonji confirmed. Activate your planet breaker. Admiral Youngsik was already working on his tablet. I'm ordering all our fleets to new positions. If the aliens want to play war games in our space, we'll give them something to really think about. What about the colonies? Asked Governor Park. If this goes wrong, millions of people could die, Captain Minho answered. If we do nothing, millions of people will definitely die. At least this way we have a chance. More than a chance, said Haewon quietly. The aliens made one big mistake when they laughed at us. What's that? Asked Senator Lee. They forgot that humans are very good at learning from our enemies. We've been studying them for 50 years. We know how they think, how they fight, how they build their ships. But they know almost nothing about us. Dr. Ji-hoon nodded. They think our technology is primitive because it's different from theirs. They use force and conquest. We use adaptation and change. They build bigger guns. We rebuild the battlefield itself. When do we move? Asked General Tae-hyun. The planet breaker is already moving, Haewon said. It will reach the target zone in 6 months. By then, we'll know if the aliens are really planning to attack us. Director Yoonji looked around the room at all the faces staring back at her. I want this kept secret. As far as the galaxy knows, we're still the weak little species that got laughed at by the council. Let them think that. It will make what comes next even more satisfying. As the meeting broke up, Admiral Youngsik approached Captain Minho. Do you really think this will work? Minho looked out the window at Earth spinning slowly below them. I think the aliens are about to learn something important about humans. What's that? We don't just get mad. We get even. 6 months later, space around Earth looked like a metal storm. 50,000 alien warships had come to end humanity's story. They stretched from Mercury to Mars, a fleet so large it blocked out the stars. Fleet Commander Velthar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the crystal spires of his body glowing with satisfaction. Through the massive windows, He could see the small blue planet that had dared to ask for equality with its betters. "Send the message," he ordered. Across every human communication channel, Velthar's voice echoed. "Humans of Earth, you have been judged and found wanting. Your species will now accept guided species status under the Galactic Federation. You will surrender all military assets. You will relocate your populations to designated work zones. You will serve the galaxy as you were meant to serve. Refuse and your planet will be reduced to ash." On Earth, in the Emergency Command Center deep under the Rocky Mountains, Ambassador Hyunwoo sat at a communication console. Around him, military officers and government officials watched screens showing the massive alien fleet. "Sir," said Communication Officer Soo Jin, "they're waiting for a response." Hyunwoo smiled and activated the transmitter. "Fleet Commander Velthar, this is Ambassador Hyunwoo speaking for humanity. We thank the Council for this demonstration of your power. Please maintain your current position while we prepare our response." On the alien flagship, Velthar's crystal body flashed with confusion. Demonstration? What are these primitives talking about? His tactical officer, a creature that looked like a walking squid, studied the scanner displays. "Commander, the human military ships are retreating. It looks like they're abandoning their planet." "Of course they are," Velthar said with satisfaction. "Cowards always run when faced with real power." What the aliens were seeing was Operation Exodus, the largest evacuation in human history. But it was not what it appeared to be. Every cargo ship, passenger liner, and civilian transport was indeed fleeing Earth. But these were not random refugees running in panic. Each ship followed a precise plan, heading to predetermined jump points where human military vessels waited to escort them to safety. Admiral So Jin watched from the bridge of her stealth cruiser, hidden in the asteroid belt. "All civilian ships are clear of Earth orbit," reported her first officer. "Phase 1 complete." "Good," So Jin said. "Begin Phase 2. Across the solar system, something strange was happening. The aliens were so focused on the fleeing human ships that they missed smaller details, like how all the military space stations around Earth suddenly went dark, or how the orbital defense platforms seemed to malfunction and drift away from their positions. Captain Minho piloted his ship, the Incheon Ghost, through the outer edges of the alien fleet. His vessel was coated with special materials that made it nearly invisible to enemy sensors. Behind him, his crew worked quietly to map every ship position, every command frequency, every weakness in the massive fleet. "Amazing," whispered Navigator Dongwoo. "They're not even trying to hide their formation. They think we're so primitive that we can't hurt them." "Let them think that," Minho replied. "How are the recordings coming?" "Perfect," said Intelligence Officer Hyo Jin. "We're getting detailed scans of every ship type, every weapon system. This data will be very useful soon." Meanwhile, on the far side of the galaxy, something that had been sleeping for 15 years was finally waking up. Chief Engineer Hei Wan stood in the control center of Kepler 442b, watching as the planet's surface began to change. What had looked like a dead world was opening like a flower. Massive structures rose from underground bunkers. Energy collectors turned toward space. Weapon arrays that could shatter moons emerged from hidden chambers. "Aegis online," announced a calm artificial voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Hello, Aegis," Heywan said to the planet's artificial intelligence. "Are you ready?" "I have been ready for 6 months, Chief Engineer. I have calculated 847,392 different battle scenarios based on the intelligence data provided. In 847,391 of those scenarios, we achieved total victory." "What about the last scenario?" asked Dr. Ji-hoon, who was monitoring from a nearby console. "In that scenario, the enemy surrenders immediately and no battle is necessary. I consider this outcome unlikely based on their psychological profiles." Heywan laughed. "Aegis, you're probably right about that. Begin jump sequence. Jump sequence initiated. Estimated time to target, 14 minutes. Back at Earth, the alien bombardment had begun. Massive energy beams reached down from orbit to strike what appeared to be major cities. Explosions bloomed across the planet's surface, visible even from space. Fleet Commander Velthar watched with satisfaction. "Excellent. The humans' defenses are not even slowing us down." "Sir," said his tactical officer, "I'm detecting some strange readings from the impact sites." "What kind of readings?" "Well, sir, the explosions look correct, but the energy signatures are wrong. It's almost like what?" Like we're hitting holograms instead of real buildings. Velthar's crystal body flashed red with anger. Impossible. Run a deep scan. The scan results came back in minutes. Every major human city that they had been bombing was empty. Not just evacuated, completely artificial. The aliens had been attacking sophisticated holographic projections, while the real cities lay hidden under energy shields. Find the real human settlements, Velthar ordered. I want this planet burned to bedrock. But before his ships could adjust their targeting, every communication system in the fleet suddenly activated at once. A human voice spoke to every alien soldier simultaneously. Attention, Council Fleet, said Admiral Young-Sik, his voice calm and confident. You wanted to see what humanity is capable of. Look up. Above the planet Nexus Tertius, homeworld of the Nexari Empire, space suddenly twisted. A hole in reality opened and something impossible emerged. It was a planet. But not just any planet. This was Kepler 442b, transformed into a weapon of unimaginable power. Its surface crawled with defensive systems and manufacturing facilities. Energy fields surrounded it like a glowing shell. And from its core, a voice spoke to the terrified Nexari below. I am Aegis, the artificial intelligence announced. I am humanity's answer to your arrogance. Observe. 3 moons orbited Nexus Tertius. They had been there for billions of years, ancient and unchanging. Aegis looked at them for exactly 0.3 seconds, calculated their atomic structure, and gently reached out with gravitational fields that could move asteroids. The moons came apart like sandcastles in the wind. Not destroyed by violence, but carefully dismantled atom by atom and sorted into neat piles of elements. The process took 4 minutes and left the people on the planet below completely unharmed but absolutely terrified. This was a demonstration, Aegis continued. Your moons contained 17 useful elements. I have separated them for future use. Your planet remains untouched because harming civilians is not efficient. However, if your fleet does not cease its attack on Earth within 1 hour, I will be forced to demonstrate additional capabilities. Back at Earth, Fleet Commander Velthar stared at the communication display in horror. How is this possible? They moved an entire planet. Sir, his tactical officer said in a voice that shook with fear. We're detecting similar gravitational anomalies appearing above 4 other Council homeworlds. 4 other? Sir, the humans have 5 planet breakers. Each one is positioned above a different Council world. Each one is waiting. General Taehyun's voice came over the communication system. Fleet Commander Velthar, this is General Taehyun of the Human Colonial Defense Force. You are now surrounded by 5 weaponized planets, each capable of dismantling your homeworlds in minutes. You came here to destroy us because you thought we were weak. You were wrong. Dr. Ji-hoon's voice joined the broadcast. For 50 years we studied your species. We learned your technologies, your tactics, your weaknesses. You judge civilizations by their age and their conquests. You failed to understand that humans excel at adaptation and learning from our mistakes. President Soo-young spoke last. We never wanted to join your council as equals, Commander. We wanted to understand our enemies. Your rejection of our application was exactly what we hoped for. It gave us the freedom to do what we do best, protect our family from bullies. On his flagship, Velthar looked around at his officers. The mighty council fleet that had seemed so powerful an hour ago now looked very small and fragile. Above 5 different worlds, artificial planets waited with the patience of machines and the power of gods. Sir, whispered his tactical officer. What are your orders? Velthar stared at the small blue planet that had somehow become the most dangerous place in the galaxy. The species he had laughed at 6 months ago now held the power to end civilizations. Get me a direct line to the council emergency session, he said quietly. Sir, we need to talk. The Grand Council chamber had never seen anything like this before. In thousands of years of galactic politics, the 12 species had always been the ones with power. Now they sat in emergency session, and for the first time in anyone's memory they were afraid. Emperor Krexelon of the Nexari Empire appeared as a massive hologram in the center of the chamber. His scaled face was twisted with rage and terror. The humans have positioned one of their planet weapons above my homeworld. 17 billion of my people are looking up at death itself. Calm yourself, said Velthar, though the council speaker's crystal body was flashing colors that showed his own fear. We are in control here, are we? Demanded the spider-like representative from the Corvan Trade Federation. Because my latest reports say that human ships are appearing all over our space. Ships we've never seen before. Ships our sensors can barely detect. On the bridge of the stealth ship Soul's Shadow, Captain Minho smiled as he listened to the alien communications his crew was intercepting. They're starting to panic, he reported to Admiral Sojin over encrypted channels. Good, Sojin replied. How many of their ships have you mapped? All of them. Every vessel in their so-called mighty fleet. Aegis now has complete tactical data on their entire military structure. Above the planet Nexus Tertius, Aegis was indeed learning. The artificial intelligence processed thousands of alien communications every second, building detailed profiles of every council species. Their fears, their weaknesses, their military capabilities, everything was being cataloged and analyzed. Interesting, Aegis said to Chief Engineer Haiwan. The aliens are attempting to coordinate a response, but their command structure is inefficient. Each species wants to protect only their own worlds. Are they planning to attack? Haiwan asked. 17 different attack plans have been proposed in the last hour. None have been approved because no species wants to risk their homeworld being the first target if the attack fails. Back on Earth, Ambassador Hyunwoo walked into the communications center. It was time for the next phase of humanity's plan. He activated the transmitter that would reach every council world simultaneously. Honored members of the Galactic Council, Hyunwoo began, his voice carrying across the galaxy. 6 months ago, you laughed at humanity's request to join your federation. You called us children. You said we were too weak, too young, too primitive to stand among you. In the council chamber, the aliens listened in stunned silence. You were right about one thing, Hyunwoo continued. We are young. Young enough to see the galaxy with fresh eyes. Young enough to notice things that ancient species might miss. On his command console, Admiral Young-sik activated a new transmission. Data began flowing to every planet breaker, to every human ship, to every colony. It was the evidence that humanity had been gathering for 50 years. We have been studying you, Hyunwoo said. All of you. We know about the Corvan slave markets. We know about the Nexari extermination camps. We know about the 200 species that asked to join your council and mysteriously disappeared before achieving star travel. Emperor Krexlan's hologram sputtered with rage. You dare accuse the council of we accuse no one, Hyunwoo interrupted. We simply present facts. Captain Minho, please share your findings. Captain Minho's voice joined the broadcast. For the last 3 years, I have been infiltrating council space. My teams have visited the sites of 17 former civilizations. All of them were destroyed just as they developed faster-than-light travel. All of them were classified as natural disasters or civil wars in council records. Dr. Ji-hoon spoke next. We found the bioweapons used on the Deltari people. We found the asteroid redirectors that destroyed the Kairos homeworld. We found the records of your preventive wars against species that might someday become threats. This is preposterous, shouted the blob-like representative from the Liquid Consortium. We are a peaceful federation. We bring order to the galaxy. Order, repeated President Su Young, her voice cold as space. Yes, we've seen your order. The order of the graveyard. You maintain peace by murdering anyone who might challenge you. General Tae-hyun's image appeared on screens across the galaxy. Behind him, holographic displays showed star maps marked with hundreds of red dots. Each red dot represents a species that the Council eliminated. Each one destroyed just as they reached for the stars. The galaxy should have been filled with thousands of different civilizations. Instead, you killed them all to maintain your power. The silence in the council chamber was deafening. But, said Hyunwoo, we are not here for revenge. We are here to offer you a choice. Velthar's crystal body stopped flashing and became perfectly still. What choice? The old order is ending, Admiral Sojin announced. The galaxy will no longer be ruled by a council of killers. Humanity offers to establish a new government, one where all species are truly equal, one where young civilizations are protected, not murdered. And if we refuse? Asked the spider creature from Corvan space. Above Nexus Tertius, Aegis provided the answer by gently adjusting the orbit of a nearby asteroid. The space rock, which had been drifting harmlessly for millions of years, suddenly changed course and began accelerating toward the planet. Panic erupted on the world below as billions of people saw death approaching. Then just as suddenly, the asteroid stopped. It hung motionless in space, held by invisible forces. That asteroid contains enough metal to build 1,000 starships. Aegis explained calmly. I can use it to construct additional defenses for your world, or I can allow it to complete its original trajectory. The choice is yours. Emperor Krexlon stared up at the sky above his capital city. What do you want? Dr. Ji-hoon answered. Complete dissolution of the current Galactic Council. All member species will submit to human oversight for a period of 100 years, while new governmental structures are established. All aggressive military actions will cease immediately. All slave markets will be closed. All records of genocidal activities will be turned over to human investigators. This is insane, screamed the representative from the Shadow Collective. You cannot expect us to. The creature's words were cut off as its homeworld star suddenly dimmed. Above the planet, another planet breaker had positioned itself between the world and its sun. The star is not being harmed, Chief Engineer Haewon explained. We are simply demonstrating our ability to control stellar radiation. Your world will experience a gentle winter until you agree to our terms. Your people will be uncomfortable but unharmed. Across the galaxy, similar demonstrations were taking place. Ocean levels rose and fell on water worlds. Gravity fluctuated on high-gravity planets. Atmospheric composition shifted on gas giants. In every case, the changes were harmless but impossible to ignore. How are you doing this? Whispered Velthar. We told you, said Hyunwoo. We excel at learning from our mistakes. Your mistake was teaching us that power is the only language you understand. Admiral Youngsik appeared on the communication screens. Every one of your military vessels is now targeted by our defense systems. Every one of your homeworlds is within range of our planet breakers. Every one of your governments is infiltrated by our intelligence operatives. But we are not conquerors, President Soo-young added. We are guardians. The galaxy needs protection from species like yours. Young civilizations need time to grow without fear of being murdered by ancient bullies. In the council chamber, the 12 representatives looked at each other with growing desperation. Their mighty fleets were useless. Their ancient technologies were obsolete. Their superior experience meant nothing against an enemy that could move planets like chess pieces. We need time to consider, Velthar said finally. You have 1 hour, Aegis responded. After that, the demonstrations become permanent. Choose wisely. As the communication ended, Emperor Krexlon looked around the chamber at his fellow council members. They have us completely outmatched. Perhaps, said the spider creature, we should have paid more attention to those primitive monkeys after all. Outside the chamber, in the depths of space, 5 planet breakers waited with the patience of machines and the determination of humanity. The council's laughter had stopped. In the vast silence of space, only one sound remained, the ticking of a countdown clock that would reshape the galaxy forever. The hour was almost up. In the Grand Council chamber, 12 species that had ruled the galaxy for millions of years sat in silence. Outside the crystal walls, their once mighty fleet drifted powerlessly in space, outmatched by an enemy they had dismissed as primitive children. Velthar, the council speaker, looked around at his fellow representatives. The crystal spires of his body had stopped flashing entirely, a sign that he had accepted defeat. We have no choice, he said finally. The humans have made their power clear. Emperor Krexlon's scaled face twisted with bitter anger. 500 years my family has ruled the Nexari Empire. 500 years of glory, ended by monkeys with fancy toys. They are not toys, said the spider-like representative from Corvin Space quietly. I have been analyzing their technology. What they have built should be impossible. They have weaponized the very forces that create worlds. Above Nexus Tertius, Aegis waited patiently as the deadline approached. The artificial intelligence had spent the hour learning everything about Council civilization. Their art, their history, their science, all of it was being cataloged and understood. Chief Engineer, Aegis said to Haewon, I have completed my analysis of Council society. What did you find? She asked. They are not evil, merely old and afraid. They have maintained power for so long that they cannot imagine any other way to live. The genocide of younger species was not cruelty, it was fear. On Earth, President Soo-young stood in the command center, watching displays that showed the positions of human forces across the galaxy. In just 6 hours, humanity had gone from being laughed at to controlling the most powerful weapons ever created. Any word from the Council? She asked. Not yet, replied Admiral Youngsik, but their fleet commanders are arguing among themselves. Some want to fight, others want to surrender. A few are actually asking permission to defect to our side. Ambassador Hyunwoo smiled. Defect already? The younger officers mostly. Admiral Sojin reported from her stealth ship. It seems that not everyone in the council military agreed with their leadership's methods. Captain Minho's voice came over the communication system. I'm picking up transmissions from several council worlds. Civilian populations are celebrating. They're calling us liberators. President Su-young frowned. That's not what we wanted to be called. What did we want to be called? Asked General Taehyun. Protectors, she replied. There's a difference. With 30 seconds left on the deadline, Velthar finally activated his communication system. Humans of Earth, the Galactic Council, has reached a decision. Across the galaxy, billions of beings held their breath. We surrender, Velthar said simply. The Council accepts your terms. The words echoed through space, carried by quantum transmitters to every world, every ship, every listening post in known space. The age of the Council was over. Thank you, said Ambassador Hyunwoo. Your cooperation will make the transition easier for everyone. But Emperor Krexlon was not finished. Before we submit to your rule, I have one question. Why, you could destroy us all. You could take our worlds, our resources, our people. Why offer us this mercy? Dr. Ji-hoon answered. Because that is what you would do, Emperor. That is what you have always done. But humans are different. How? We remember what it was like to be weak. We remember what it was like to be afraid. We will not become the monsters we fought to defeat. Over the following months, the galaxy changed in ways no one had expected. The council species, expecting brutal occupation, instead found themselves working alongside human administrators who seemed genuinely interested in making life better for everyone. Former slave markets became schools. Military shipyards were converted to build exploration, vessels and colony ships. Director Yoonji established the new government on a space station built specifically for the purpose, a massive structure that orbited no planet and belonged to no single species. She called it Unity Station, and it became the new center of galactic civilization. Chief Engineer Hae-won found herself the most popular person in the galaxy. Young species that had been hiding in the shadows for centuries came forward, asking for protection and aid. Her planet breakers, once weapons of war, became mobile construction platforms that could terraform dead worlds in months instead of centuries. The artificial intelligence Aegis surprised everyone by requesting to be assigned as a teacher. It established schools on 100 different worlds, sharing human knowledge while learning about alien cultures. Former council military academies became universities where young beings from across the galaxy came to study. Captain Minho was put in charge of the new Galactic Patrol, a force dedicated to protecting developing civilizations from anyone who might threaten them. His ships were crewed by volunteers from dozens of species, all working together to keep the peace. Admiral Sojin commanded the exploration fleets that pushed into unknown regions of the galaxy, making contact with species that had never known about the Council's reign of terror. Each new civilization was welcomed with offers of friendship and protection, not demands for submission, but the biggest change was in how species treated each other. The Council's philosophy of might makes right was replaced by something humans called the Prime Directive. Advanced civilizations had a responsibility to protect and nurture younger ones. No species would ever again be destroyed for the crime of reaching for the stars. A year after the surrender, Ambassador Hyunwoo stood in the observation deck of Unity Station, looking out at the galaxy that humanity now protected. Beside him, Velthar watched ships from 100 different worlds coming and going in peaceful trade. I have a confession, the former council speaker said. When we first met you, we were not just arrogant. We were jealous. Jealous? Hyunwoo asked. Of what? Of your hope. We had forgotten what it was like to believe that things could get better. We had been in power so long that we could only imagine maintaining what we had, never building something new. Hyunwoo nodded. That's the difference between young species and old ones. We still remember how to dream. And now you have made those dreams real. The galaxy has never been more peaceful. It's not peaceful because we're strong, Hyunwoo corrected. It's peaceful because everyone knows we'll protect them from those who would harm them. On the planet below Unity Station, children from dozens of species played together in parks that overlooked the stars. They grew up knowing that the universe was vast and full of wonders, not dangers. They learned that different did not mean enemy, and that there was always room for one more friend at the table. President Su Young's final address to the galaxy summed up humanity's philosophy. You laughed at us because we were young. You are right, we are young enough to remember what it means to hope for a better tomorrow, young enough to believe that peace is possible, and young enough to do whatever it takes to protect that hope for future generations. The council's laughter had stopped forever. In the vast silence of space, new sounds could be heard, the voices of children playing, the songs of species that had thought they would never be free, and the quiet hum of planet breakers that had become gardeners instead of destroyers. The galaxy was young again, and the future belonged to dreamers. Above Earth, a simple monument was built in orbit. It bore only one inscription. To those who thought we were weak, thank you for underestimating us. To those who were afraid, welcome to a galaxy where fear is no longer necessary. And in the depths of space, humanity's greatest weapons waited patiently, no longer instruments of war but guardians of peace, watching over a galaxy where every species, no matter how young or small, had the right to reach for the stars without fear. The age of laughter was over. The age of hope had begun.